All right, she's finished. It's got a total of 1.5 quarts of clear, all on the inside and outside of that. And when I bought all the materials for this, I was not aware of Tamco products. And as I've stated in a couple of videos in the past, my matrix supplier here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, I just kind of wasn't happy with the way customer service was going. Someone else took over the business. The guy that I know since 1992 was running it, and I really liked the way he was doing things. But anyway, long story short, I drifted away from the matrix. I found out about the Tamco. And on this car, it ended up having matrix epoxy on it, on the base coat, at the very ground coat of it. And then I ended up going to the Tamco, and I used the HP 5311 all over the outside of the car. Now, a little history, I've talked about this before. The color on this car is code E7. It's called Burnished Red Metallic. And the PPG, they didn't have the toners for it in the regular Deltron base coat. And I had Matrix. I contacted them, and they mixed me up some, and we sprayed a test panel, and it just didn't match in the Matrix. And that's because the toners for this color discontinued. So they told me they had some toners left over for the Omni, and so we end up, I'm not really fond of Omni, as I've stated before. And he ended up, I don't quite understand how he did it. He said he took some dryers or binders or something out of there to help make it cover better. And I think I've heard Tammy mention something about binders and dryers are basically just cheap fillers that they add to make the base coats and the clears or whatever cheaper, because it costs less than the toners do. So, long story short, we've got a matrix epoxy down in the ground coat of this. Then under the engine bay here, I've used a Tamco HP 5311 as a sealer. It's got Omni Plus base coat, and I've got Matrix MS42 clear on it. Yeah, it's a wide range of products, but I mean, it is what it is. Customer didn't have a lot of money, so we bought what we could. And the Omni base coat for this, as I've said, was not cheap as it was. 2 gallons of that was almost $1,500. So anyway, to get more about what I've done here today, I had 2 coats of base sprayed on there, and then, as I said, I got to run in my base coat because it's cold, and I was using slow reducer to keep from having dry spray, and always hard to get places. So I had to crank the heat up, sand some of the runs out of there, and spot those in, and then I set the metallics all over it. And I let the heat run a little longer, and then shut the heat off so I can spray. Then turn the fan back on, yada yada, get all the fumes out. Then turn the heat back on a while so I can spray some more. So it's been an all day thing. I've been out here since right about noon, and I'm thinking it's going on around 9:30 p.m. So I've got 2 tack coats of the MS42 on it, and then I put 2 medium wet coats, and then I went and I waited 15 minutes in between each one, and then on that last medium wet coat, I went ahead and just double coated it, went right back over it. I didn't give it any flash time. I'm going to let it sit here about an hour, and so it skims over and I don't suck dust all on top of it and get all over it worse than what it already is. And then I'm going to turn the heater on and let it run as long as it will. I've got about 7 gallons of fuel, so I figure that's going to let me run about 8 hours. And it runs constantly to keep this uninsulated building at 72 degrees. So that's enough gabbing. I've yacked for almost 5 minutes now. I'll walk around here and let you look at it. And yes, there is a bunch of waves and dents in here. I did not worry about fixing anything dent-wise in here because there was all kinds of imperfections from the stamping in the metal. And part of the deal with the customer was with this is I was just going to sand underneath here and paint it, but it's turned out to be a lot more than that because after I got into this, I found out the guy that painted this before me used a Walmart bed liner and a roller and put it everywhere in a brush. And I spent a long damn time cleaning it all out. But she's nice and glossy now. As usual, they lose a little bit of their shine as they dry, but it's just part of the game. And, got all that cleared back up in there. You see the metallics in it pretty good there. I mean, it doesn't do it justice compared to being out in the sunlight, but come on, camera, focus. But if you like reds, it's a pretty color. I mean, this is, the highlights of it, the lights catch, a red glow to it, and then it's a deep burgundy in the shadowy areas. But, see, you can see it, and it being a little sag in the clear right there. Now the camera doesn't catch it, but it's right there. So, got quite a bit of dust in that area. But it's nice and shiny. Done my best trying to get all the areas covered. Painting around the little clips that hold the wire harness down. And getting all in the edges there and back in there. Takes a little extra effort getting it. And sometimes you still don't get it all. It's like you can see way down in that hole there. There's a tiny little bit of dry spray, but if you try to get that hose down, you're going to have runs everywhere in it. See if I can get my camera down here. Can't really tell. It doesn't look shiny on the camera, but it's got clear on it. It's a little bit orange peely, but I've got it covered. It shouldn't rust. As I've said before, I blew my color back in there a little ways, and you can see there's still some gray back there. All that back there, I'm probably going to take some paper and tape right on that angled piece of metal there, cover all the front of this up, and I'll spray some rubberized undercoating all over that and there, make it look close to like what the factory did. But I am done for the night. Let's see if I can get my stool up here. And see if I can get an overhead view of it. That's it. Now, I think the only thing I've got left to do is edging the fenders. And I think the filler panel that goes in the front bumper, I'm going to paint that off the car. That way I don't have to worry about bending over and stooping and trying to make sure it's covered good. I'll just paint it up on a little piece of plywood on the rack over there and paint it there. And I've got to paint, there's a couple of braces that go in the middle for the hood latch. I haven't painted all that yet. And once I get all that done, then I just got to put this puppy together and get the outside sanded. And the guy that I worked for a couple of years ago, I've worked out a deal with him. He's going to let me paint it in his booth. And it's a lot better booth. It's got filters and everything. And he's got heat in his building. And it's an insulated building. So it'll be a whole lot better job on the outside. And then I don't have to worry about messing with everything like I have painting this.